So Tashi Dele, and welcome to class number 4 on the Trekcho class. So today we're looking in the Great Perfection text at the concluding instructions here. And so we have the direct experience of awareness is said to occur if we follow the directions that we've been discussing previously. So one then will be able to cut through superimpositions regarding the true nature. So ideas about what the true nature is, you cut through that to get the direct experience, the actual thing. And then next, one need only maintain a continuity of this recognition and keep it from being lost. So once you've got it, then you sustain that over time, and then it will gradually stabilize. So that is the basic idea. If the nature of this meditation is not actually experienced, but is instead left in the realm of theory, when the true nature of mind is pointed out in this context, the element of surprise will have been lost. If this happens, one should again meditate assiduously in the stages of contemplation that were outlined earlier. Then, by being taught and practicing in such a way that pointing out the true nature of mind elicits actual experience, one will gradually begin to experience its full significance. So, basically two ways. One way is you get it at the moment, you get the pointing out instructions, and so then you just gradually work with that to help solidify it, to stabilize it, and so forth. If you don't really get it at that time, if you still go back and repeat the instructions and work with it over time, it should still gradually come to you. So one a little more quickly attained and the other one a little bit more slowly, but both approaches seem to work. Meditation is necessary so long as one has yet to arrive at self-manifestation and self-liberation, as conceptuality will continue to function in its ordinary, usual way until this has come to pass. So it changes our conceptuality, the word that it's using here in the text. It changes how we look at things, how we understand things. And previously, a couple of times, they've talked about it as being like a flow state. And so it just changes the way that we perceive and understand what we normally call reality, but we know as being somewhat different from a Buddhist point of view, different reality. And so as we do these practices and we begin to get into that state and stabilize in that state, then we're able to stay in that flow state and recognize the true nature of things all the time, regardless of what other kinds of thoughts might be arising. Continuing on page 162 in the paragraph that is part of the explanation here, once you have moved beyond the realm of thought and concept into reality itself, conceptual constructs will dissolve into the sphere of reality and become of one taste with the Dharmakaya, accompanied by the experiences of bliss, clarity, and non-conceptuality. The great wisdom mind of the luminous great perfection will manifest, transcending all examples, meanings, and illustrations. So these thoughts will still arise, concepts will still arise, but now they've merged into this union, this one taste with the Dharmakaya, and as a result of that, any kind of concepts that do come up no longer disturb us. They just arise, they go away, and we're able to stay in this kind of flow, but we're still in touch with what we commonly call reality, this reality, if you will. So that means we can go about our daily activities and still do those activities and stay in this state of understanding the true nature of mind, all at the same time. And so it seems a little bit dualistic, but it's really only dualistic in terms of being able to explain it, because you can't explain both of them at the same time. But in experience, experientially, they're really happening as just one experience. It's just a different kind of experience than what most people ordinarily experience. Okay? And then going on to page 183, the first part of the commentary there, 163, sorry. When co-emergent, self-occurring wisdom manifests, the practitioner will come to see all forms of polarity as fundamentally the same, good and bad, appearance and emptiness, existence and non-existence, samsara and peace, and knower and known. So these duality kinds of things tend to go away. All subjective and objective perceptions will be seen to be none other than the essence of reality itself. Appearance and emptiness will be seen to be an overarching unity. So a lot of times we describe, and as we talked about it in the Innate Happiness book as well as the Natural Liberation class, we talk about the appearance emptiness. Okay? So the two of them being one single form of emptiness, if you will. And then at the bottom of the page, this lucidity and vividly clear wisdom never moves, while it nevertheless manifests as the non-dual play of samsara and nirvana. When it does, all you need to do is rest without distraction in your original condition, without indulging thoughts or trying to rein them in. This will cause thoughts to dissolve like clouds in the sky, and you will be able to rest evenly in the view. I guess they're assuming that you're in Arizona here, that the clouds dissolve into the sky, because in the Pacific Northwest it tends to reverse itself. Out of this empty sky come clouds, so clouds upon clouds upon clouds, and so forth. So the basic idea, though, is that these things just come and they also go, and you just rest in that state. Continuing on page 165 then, a little bit with the commentary here. When you rest in equipoise on a given object, it may seem as though your thought activity is increasing, or alternately your mind may experience a blank, vacant state. Okay, so you may have more thoughts or fewer thoughts, either one. At other times, it may not stay still, or even if it does, a subtle form of mental activity may occur in its depths that cannot be blocked. All three of these herald the onset of stillness. So those are all signs that you're moving toward this stillness. Conceptual activity cannot be stopped by being forcibly blocked. On the other hand, if you push the mind to its breaking point by consciously creating an endless stream of discursive thought, mental activity will eventually wear itself out, and the mind will end up in its original state of stillness. Once this occurs, simply rest in that state. So we gradually achieve this state of stillness, and once we achieve it, then we just rest in that state. Just relax into that state. Get comfortable with it. Okay? And then going down into the next paragraph just a little bit. In essence, the mind is beyond being permanent or nothing at all. It is not born and does not die. It is self-aware and self-illuminating, while the appearances that manifest as its unimpeded and radiant display are vast and spacious. It is vividly clear, transcending the realm of words and expression. The words and expression kind of become a barrier, so the clarity comes by letting go of those. By maintaining this original state without distraction, your realization of the true nature will evolve and grow increasingly stable. Okay? It's just a natural development. And then skip a paragraph on down. At times when the sky is clear and cloudless, turn your back to the sun and direct your gaze into the depths of space. The empty radiance of external space is used as a metaphor that will help you connect with the utterly pure space of mind that is present within. From this, the secret space of the luminous essence will manifest instantly. This is the empty clarity of reality itself, beyond all middle and extremes. Now that part is very similar to the Togao practice, which we'll get to a little bit later, of just gazing into the sky. Now in this case, we're not looking for anything to appear physically, but it's used as a metaphor for the space of our mind, and just resting in that space. Continuing then on the top of page 167, well actually starts at the very bottom of 166, to refine your ability and enhance your practice, the key point is to mingle meditation with all your ordinary activities. And so, as I have said over and over again, it's very important to recognize that sitting on the cushion is practice for the rest of your life. Okay? The other things that go on during the day and night, for that matter. Okay? So it's not about being a really great meditator on the cushion. It's about learning from that and applying that in everything else that you do. And then continuing on there on the next paragraph, when your practice has evolved in this manner and is free from errors, no concepts will be formed concerning either entities or non-entities. This will cause the entire range of conceptual constructs to dissolve into the mind's basis, the nature of mind, at which point the mind will become motionless and stable. Once this has come to pass, you will be liberated from samsara and freed from dualistic fixation on self and other. The form of the unsurpassed Dharmakaya, the great transcendence of elaborations, ideas, and expressions, will be attained. Okay. So a good description of the kind of experiences that we can have with this is showing some of the developmental process and the stabilization and the stillness, and then the melting away, if you will, of the thoughts and concepts and so forth that come up, and just experiencing things more in a direct manner. Okay? While at the same time recognizing the nature of those things as being empty of any inherent existence. And in that state, we just go along with this kind of a flow until it just becomes very steady, sometimes compared to a large river just kind of rolling along without any waves or anything in it, no rapids and so forth. And then finally, on page 168, the top, starting at the top, until you have achieved stability in the unmistaken and genuine meaning of what is being spoken of here and seized the stronghold of the majestic Dharmakaya, you should use 4-session yoga, practicing the dawn, morning, afternoon, and evening. So those are the 4 sessions, just real general times. So dawn would be early morning, if you will, and then morning would be like after breakfast, afternoon, and then evening. So those are using a 4-session approach to meditation. That would be the general breakdown of those times. Now, you may or may not have time to be able to do that. It works really well in retreat, but if you're not in retreat and you have other activities that you have to do, you can still do shorter versions of this. So you can do an early morning session, a morning session, an afternoon session, an evening session. So you can still do 4 practices. They need not be really long practices. You don't have to spend the whole morning doing the practice. But if you can find even a few minutes and do that 4 different times a day, we know from research on habituation that repetition is more important than the amount of time that you spend doing it. And so doing that 4 times a day compared to, say, meditating once a day can really multiply the benefit that you're getting from that. At the beginning of each session, start by taking refuge and cultivating bodhicitta. In the main part of the session, rest evenly in the unreal illusory state, while in the post-meditation, continue to familiarize yourself with the state and be sure to practice in the correct manner. At the conclusion of each session, seal your practice with dedicating the merit and reciting prayers of aspiration. So this is very traditional layout of how you would do the practice. And the brief form of Guru Yoga that we have, or the Nundro that we have for doing the practice, fits this perfectly. So that's a good way of doing these practices. Without making any distinction between equipoise and post-meditation, view everything as the great play of appearance emptiness. Between sessions, do not let your 3 gates get distracted, and do not engage in any pointless activities. Instead, pass your time with the 10 Dharma activities, which are listed down below, coming from the Tantra of the manifestation or manifest realization. To transcribe writings, make offerings, give generously, listen, read, memorize, explain, recite, reflect, and meditate on the meaning. The nature of these 10 activities involves an immeasurable accumulation of virtue. There's lots of things that you can do to supplement just straight, ordinary meditation practice. that can still be a part of your practice, if you will. And then finally, it concludes with the activities outlined here will cause experience to arise and are therefore referred to as the activities of Samattabhadra. So that concludes this section of the Great Perfection text, and kind of a concluding overview of what it is that we have been talking about so far from this particular text.